Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another empowering episode. I have a dear old friend. And when I say old friend, we go back to when I started the magazine, 2006, 2007. I have had Anjel as a speaker in my live events when I was producing live events. She has written for Aspire. We have been connected and played and collaborated. She is a magical mama. Wait till you find out and tap into her wisdom. But put that aside for a moment. Let me introduce you. And we're going to dive into this conversation that is all about the math, mindset, and metaphysics of prospering on purpose. And I just love that phrase, prospering on purpose. Anjel B. Hartwell is an internationally known artist, evolutionary alchemist, and author of 3-time #1 new release, Be Heard by Millions and Live Your Destiny. Isn't that what we're all here for? Is to change people's lives? A Be the Change Movement to Watch award winner and considered one of America's premier experts. She's the creator, executive producer, and host of the 9-time, I think it's bypassed that by now, award-winning and Apple #1 internationally ranked Wickedly Smart Women podcast. She is hired to consult with high-achieving visionary leaders worldwide. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Linda. And it is a joy to have known you for all these years. I'll never forget when we first met at a big event and you were right at the beginning of the magazine, and there, you were in that place where we often are when we're in a creative expression of like, is it going to work? Is this going to actually happen? Like, you have the vision, but then there's that creative tension, and you were looking to have Louise Hay be on the cover. And I looked right at, I was like, Louise Hay is going to be on the cover and so many more. And the next thing you know, boom, she was.
I remember that conversation because you are an alchemist. I remember the conversation, even though we first met.
Mm-hmm.
And ladies, for everyone that has a dream in your heart that you are here for a mission to change people's lives, sometimes it can feel big and scary, right? Mm-hmm. So Anjel was a great space holder. I don't know what made me share on our first meeting of, hey, I have this vision for this magazine. And as a space holder, as really a woman's empowerment guru, because that's what you're all about, empowering other women, you just held space and mirrored back. Mm-hmm. And guess what? She was right. Louise Hay multiple times, Marianne Williamson, Cheryl Richardson, and Anjel saw the vision and mission in my heart. That's one of your gifts, my friend, along with everything we're going to be talking about today. So thank you for that. Because Here we are. Aspire is going to be 18 years old in February.
My lucky number.
That. So let's talk about this, right? First off, let's define what is math, mindset, and metaphysics of prospering on purpose.
Well, so, I've been in the business myself for now 17, 15, 16, somewhere in that range of years. And I have served many people all around the world. And what I have discovered is that women in particular are sometimes challenged in these areas in terms of being able to bring their purpose into fruition in a prosperous and profitable way. We've been conditioned by culture to pour out without thinking about what do we actually need in order to be thriving. And so these 3 areas are core to being able to prosper in your passionate purpose. And the first one is math. And, just think about it, Linda. We were taught, either formally or informally, that girls are not good at math. Boys are good at math. Girls are not good at math in our generation, at least. And, now I think it's a little bit better, but we fail oftentimes as business owners to consider the math, not only of what we personally need to thrive, but what the actual business structure requires in order to thrive. And so, some of the work that I do with my clients is get them really clear on their unique math. So, for example, when you were starting out, you were a single mom, you were on welfare, your math is very different than somebody whose math is, maybe the wife of an executive who's sitting in her house and all of a sudden gets hit with the calling to do something, and the husband has been taking care of all of the expenses in the household, so she doesn't necessarily have to incorporate that into her math. So it's really important to as a baseline, as a foundation in your business, to have the math clear and to do the math again about every 6 months to a year. Like, it's not the math that stays the same math forever. So that's the math part. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or shall we go into the metaphysics and the mindset?
Really quick is, I think that's a key point, because those in spiritual and personal development fields, which are a lot of the people that follow me, life coaches, etc. And I went through this. I didn't own my worth, so I was giving everything away when I first started Aspire, remember? Oh, you want to add? Sure. You can't afford to pay? Sure. Well, Aspire, to thrive, to fulfill my soul's project, you need advertisers. So you're right. My money story at that time was around what I knew, right? Give it away. I didn't have my value. I had to fix my money story, which comes down to the math too. It was energetic. So I think that's important. And I had to do a lot of inner healing to be able to have created what I've created now.
Right. And
business.
What I also want to talk about the math is, I want to talk about how oftentimes this is what I call the mountain of visibility. So at the bottom of the mountain of visibility is what we call the professionals. So the professionals are the base, and the professionals will look to the left and look to the right and compare themselves to each other in terms of how they price things in the marketplace, rather than doing the actual math of what they require. So they're doing it from a comparison basis rather than from the actual data and the actual facts. Then we emerge into the expertise zone. And when we're emerging experts, that's when we actually need to begin to self-value and self-identify exactly, specifically, and precisely what we need in order to thrive. And this is the place where we can get a little bit caught up in the mindset of, oh, I can do that thing. I don't need to hire somebody, even when we are making money, right? Like, oh, I can do the bookkeeping. I know how to do that. I don't need to hire that person. And so at that level, we have to start to elevate our math thinking in terms of how do we bring in more support financially? How do we maintain that support in order for us to actually leap into the next level, which is the leaping leaders, or at the top, what I call the legacy of light, which is, those people like Wayne Dyer and Marianne Williamson and Louise Hay, who obviously had to figure out their math in order to be able to create massive conglomerates of businesses that serve people globally, right?
Yeah, and I love that visual that you gave, because I'm a visual person. I could feel the energy of each one. So I think that's going to be so helpful to everybody. So I think that was powerful how you shared it. So what's number two?
Well, so number two, of course, is the mindset, right? And so the mindset, Linda, you've already, referred to it a little bit. Part of what happens with mindset is there's cultural conditioning, there's social conditioning, there's familial conditioning, there's religious and educational conditioning. I mentioned earlier, girls aren't good at math. That's a mindset thing, okay? So maybe you're not good at math, but you still need to get the math squared away. So hire somebody to help you with the math, or ask somebody to help you with the math. This whole asking for help is actually the number one mindset shift that most people are hesitant to make, that makes all of the difference. It's less about the specific thing that needs to be corrected and more about having the mindset of, I don't have to do this all by myself, that I can ask for help. I can eagerly delegate. I can not only delegate, but I can look for the help that's the most helpful. So part of mindset is, oh, I got to get the cheapest help. No, that's not a good mindset. We want the best help for you. Now, the best help for you may be inexpensive. The best help for you may be incredibly expensive, but in making that investment, having the mindset of an investor, having the mindset of somebody who's willing to ask for and receive help, making giant investments can sometimes shorten your timeline to success, like exponentially. So, for example, when people invest to work with me or you, they get the benefit of at least $750,000 of investments I have made in my own business. Plus, they get the benefit of all the mistakes I made that they don't have to.
Yeah, and I love that you shared this, because it brought me back to my journey, and you know my journey, I know yours. The number one thing I can remember growing up, my mother going, you don't need to do everything yourself, Linda. I was one of those. I will get it done. I made my first 6 or 7 years with Aspire harder than it had to be, because it was like, I can do that. I can do the marketing. I can do this. I can do the uploads. Now I have an amazing team that's been with me for a long time. It's the number one gift I gave myself, to give myself permission to ask and receive support, expert support. It is exactly what you said. It accelerated everything. I know if I stayed with the Lone Ranger energy, which comes from a wound, of course, and if I stayed with that Lone Ranger energy, I was also staying in a lack mentality of two things, which you touched on. One, I don't deserve it, the support. Two, the story that we have to do it on our own. That has catapulted my business. So I'm so glad that you said that, because I think as entrepreneurs, we all struggle with that. Well, I'm not going to pay anyone else until I am making this. But the truth is, we can't do it all and do it well. We need to stay in our sacred gifts. And when you bring that expert support on, whether it's Angel, myself, even a VA, if you're just starting out, whatever that is to you, it's going to do what you just said, Angel. It's going to catapult, because now you're in your divine essence. You're in your sacred gifts. I think it's one of the best gifts and journeys and lessons I had to learn as an entrepreneur. And now it's like, oh, here's something for you. I'm always delegating. Big healing. That was a big healing for me.
Yeah. So I want to reflect. You and I can't talk about it if I haven't done it myself, right? So when I first got started, which was right around when we met one another, I taught myself how to code. I taught myself HTML. You know what I mean? I was like busy building my website, teaching myself HTML. And I think especially for wickedly smart women, the tricky mindset thing is that we say to ourselves, and you're exactly right, it is a lack mentality. The tricky mindset thing that we do is, oh, I'm smart enough to be able to figure that out. I'm smart enough to be able, of course you're smart enough to be able to figure that out. And is figuring that out actually in highest service to bringing your offering into the world and being compensated for your offering, rather than spending your time, your energy, your creative power, I don't know, coding your own website like I did, right?
I didn't know that story, so I would have kicked you in the butt back then.
Oh my God, yeah. And being the talent too, Linda. So you mentioned, being in your sacred goddess. It was when I started podcasting that one of my mentors said to me, you're supposed to be the talent. And as we go up this ladder, this mountain of visibility, more and more we need to be doing less and less. Yeah.
That is powerful, because we believe and are programmed, as you said, as individuals, and especially as entrepreneurs, do. And then you wonder why you're resentful in your business, which is an energy. You have no joy in your life, your relationships are suffering, because we're programmed that our value is in doing. I believe that. I've been an entrepreneur 32 years, 18 with this business. And I live that other way. I call it living in the masculine energies of not embodying who we are. Now, as you know, I take summers off, I take a month off in December, and I have Fridays off. Why? Because I want to create from my sacred truth, from what I'm here to do. And I want to empower team members who are here to do what they want to do, they're here to do. And until I learned how to be in my own essence, be in my own energy, all this wouldn't have come. All these brands that I have and the ease and grace of the joy that I feel in this work, I know couldn't happen. It couldn't have. So do you find that too? People think they're moving their business forward. No, they're doing tasks that probably aren't even related to growing their business or earning income. They're doing all the busy stuff so they can stay in the comfort zone that is keeping them from being successful. How do Angel and I know? Because we've done it. That's why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I'll tell you, I'll out myself on this. I actually am very fast at creating things. And because I'm very fast at creating things, and because the culture has programmed us to look busy, I would often like do my thing and then put myself in the mode of giving myself a to-do list to look busy. And it wasn't actually doing anything. It was actually eroding my ability to do swift manifestation. So I am now in a place in my own life where the more space I give myself to fuel from nature, to fuel from doing things that I love and enjoy, like foraging and cooking and riding my bike and having lovely conversations with you and things like that, the more I fuel myself, the more swift I am able to manifest and more completely. So this is a little bit of the metaphysics part. If we think about, okay, I've only partially fueled myself. Maybe I'm down a quarter tank. Maybe I'm down a quarter tank. And now all of a sudden I have this creative insight or inspiration that comes in like a giant bolt of lightning from source. And I'm like, yes. And I go with it. And then I get to that last quarter tank and don't have the fuel. It will fall flat. It will fall flat, or it will not be the fullness of the vision that I actually saw. And as a good example, I did a street festival back in 2006. And the vision was like vast. It was like, oh my God, it's a street festival. This is what's happening. So I sold 40 vendor booths. I had 15 live performances on 2 stages. The mayor gave me everything. I was so good at, enrolling people into the vision. Even public service gave me the electricity. Like it was all coming in. And I did it because I had sent a prayer to bring money to my store. At the time I had a store. And I only did $600 in my store that day. Well, I hadn't done the math. I had the mindset of I had to do it all. Like I literally put this thing together by myself in 6 weeks. People looked at me like, you need a whole committee for this. And it was like, no, I didn't need a committee. But at the end of the day, it cost $4,000 out of my pocket.
Because you didn't do the math, right?
Because I didn't do the math.
And you didn't allow assistance.
And I didn't allow assistance, and it burned me out. And it took me right out. It actually made me close my store. So the fullness of the vision, which was, let's just say it was all worked out in perfection. The point I want to make here is I'm going to actually challenge you, Linda, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I'm going to challenge you to start taking Mondays off too.
Oh, I would love it. Now, I just took 9 weeks of summer off. I love my Fridays off. I will give it some consideration. My team would love it. That's our team meeting day, so they would love that. Yeah. I have the most beautiful schedule that fits my life, and I love it. I love the flexibility.
I wonder what would be possible if you gave yourself even more. Like this is
Oh,
the
yeah.
point I'm trying to make here for our
It's all of
listeners
us.
is how do we expand energetically
What's possible?
to be able to contain more beautiful brands, to be able to contain more projects while simultaneously being in the doing of it even less.
I love that. I love that
Mm.
insight and thought.
Mm.
Giving me a little tickle there. So talk about the before we go to the free gift, I want to talk a little more about the metaphysics so they understand it. That's about manifesting, law of attraction, alignment.
Right.
Use
Right.
your language.
Right. So from a metaphysical point of view, you mentioned earlier wounds. Often our highest calling is also going to illuminate our deepest wound, right? Our highest calling will illuminate our deepest wound. And the wounds are actually imprints in our energetic field. So one of my wounds, right, is I have to look good. Right. And so this busy work of like, okay, I'm busy. I'm looking like I'm busy. Right. And what ends up happening is that actually erodes my energetic force field. Yeah. By utilizing my life force, by utilizing my energy in non-aligned ways, I end up lowering my tank, let's say lowering my tank. So when the actual next inspired action that I am aligned with taking shows up, I don't have enough fuel. And then I end up discouraging myself and disappointing myself and going into this downward spiral of, well, see, I wasn't perfectionist. There's perfectionism. There's like people pleasing. Like these are all the way that the wounds show up. But at the bottom of it, for many of us, it's I am not enough. And it's I am not enough because we are not energetically connected to our authentic source. And our authentic source is actually the earth and our star of origin, our heavenly origins, and being in a state of full groundedness to the earth, which provides us with life force, as well as deep, wide connection to our star of origin that brings us the inspiration. When we're in that place, then we're in alignment rather than seeking energy from clients, from team members, from colleagues, from likes, from all of those things. When we're wounded and we're out of alignment energetically, we're seeking energy this way rather than seeking energy this way, if that makes sense.
Makes complete sense. I have to have that. How I'm wired, I need my time in nature, as you do. We're both nature lovers. And I need my time with source, whatever any of you call your source, whatever love is to you, right? If I don't have that, I'm not at my highest vibration. So every day I have to have that. And something else too that really spoke to me about what you said. I teach my clients, because I found out the hard way myself, when we're doing tasks that are not aligned, they're not our joy, they're not our superpower, they become tedious and you almost feel the resentment in your body. I want you to remember this, and this is for the listeners, is that's the energy you're putting into your business at that moment. Let that task go. Give it to someone that it brings them so much joy, because that energy will come into your business. I see time and time again, entrepreneurs resenting their businesses, putting that energetic imprint on a project they're doing because they will not let go and ask for help. And everything you just talked about, I'm like, what are you imprinting in your business right now? You're doing that stuff that get you all anxious and all that. Well, that's what's going to feel, people are going to feel when your product, program, book, whatever it is, goes out in the world. So I love that you said that it's about alignment and creating space to be. Now, I'm sure you've experienced this too, but I'm often asked, because Tuesday's a client call day, Monday's team day, I have containers for my week. And one of the things I know is they'll go like, how'd you just write 6 web pages, 9 emails, did all the promo in two business days? And I'm like, time folds when you do what you are aligned and are here to do. You will no longer struggle to get things done when you stay in that. I love what you said, that alignment. You found that too?
Well, and when you're in alignment, it's not work.
No, it is not
All
work.
you're doing is flowing the energy through your vessel, and you're flowing the energy through your vessel from a place of my vessel is full. I am serving from the overflow. I am serving through myself, not of myself. It's not coming out of me. It's not eroding me. And just to quickly go back to the mindset thing around putting the resentment into what you're creating, one of the tricky little things we say to ourselves is, well, if I hate this, I don't want to do that to somebody else. That was one of my mindset things. Like, I hate this, but I don't want to make somebody else have to do this, because why would I want to make them suffer? And the truth is, the right fit person who loves to do that is not going to suffer. And so if you can't imagine somebody else being able to do it who's going to love it, and you're doing it, but you're in resentment, I totally agree with you, Linda. You're actually infusing into whatever you're creating the energy that you're creating from. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I feel that's one of the core principles I teach my clients. Where are you when you're writing that email and you're getting all anxious of, I need this sale to work, this email has to convert people? I'm like, that's the energy they're going to feel. All the words on your website, all the fancy words you might write in your email. What's going to happen is they're going to come and they're going to read it and go, wow, this is wonderful, but something is off. I don't know what it is. And it's that energetic imprint they're feeling. They might not identify going, she was resentful when she wrote this, or she was in need energy. They just know what they feel. And so it's one of the things I'm like, if you're feeling anything like that, walk away. You have to want to share from, like, I think of it like I'm the middleman.
Yeah, you're a channel.
Yeah, it's like when my clients are like, how do you do that? How do you just nail my messaging? I'm like, I can read and listen between your words and pull out what the essence of what you want to say. And so that's what I want for my clients when they're writing something, be in your highest, purest vibration, even if you have to walk away 3 times.
Agreed.
So I love this conversation, my friend, because we get so focused on the task in items to do to move our business forward, but we're energetic beings. We have to talk about this stuff. And so for all of you who are listening going, well, this conversation was a little woo, guess what? The law of attraction, the universal principles, whatever phrases you want to use, they're working it all the time.
Absolutely.
And think about how you feel with energy. There are energetic imprints. Just because it's a website doesn't mean your energetic imprint isn't in it. Everything that you create has your energy imprint. We have to be aware at the time of creation where our energy is. So thank you for this insightful, empowering conversation that I know is going to help women. And you have a yummy gift to get them to dive even deeper, and it's called 8 Days of Prosperity Activation Series. And it's right below this video, ladies. So while we talk about it, get down there, click it, and it will be on its way to you. So Angel, what can they expect in that gift? And I love the title.
Well, what they can expect is 8 days of shifting of mindset. There are memes that are part of it, stories that are part of it. And then I also included, because, I can be a little woo with your audience, I also included audios that will help to align and adjust and attune and activate each of the chakras in the energy body using the sound of my voice. So every day there is going to be an audio activation using the sound of my voice. Sound was one of the very first metaphysical tools that came into my awareness that allowed me to have quantum leaps in my healing. And I mean, you and I now, I use the sound of my voice for everything that, I have created. It's through the sound of my voice that I've been able to reach people all over the world. I've got multiple clients who've generated multiple millions of dollars, and it's through that activation through my voice that they were able to connect with me and do business with me. So my voice is very important and very powerful. And so I wanted to incorporate into this 8 Days of Prosperity activation series one of my secret tools that I use to continue to expand and grow my prosperity.
I want to say thank you for adding that extra layer to your powerful gift. I can't wait because I want to tune in also. So thank you. That is a sacred offer. And I do remember when you were at one of my first events, remember the crystal bowls?
Yeah.
Sound has always been a part of your life. And yes, your voice is an activator, my friend. So that's beautiful. And thank you. Thank you for joining me. Everyone, again, right below this video is Angel's gift called 8 Days of Prosperity Activation Series. Give yourself this gift. We can all use the help to be reactivated, recalibrated. That's a phrase I love. We're always fine-tuning on our energies. Don't try to do it yourself. Get this gift down below. It's waiting for you. Angel, thank you, my friend. As always, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to be here, Linda, as always.
Blessings, everyone.